What's up, everybody? I'm Stella Chung, and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. Cyberpunk 2077's upcoming DLC titled Phantom Liberty will be CD Projekt Red's most expensive DLC yet. Plus, Nintendo is looking to boost Switch hardware's production ahead of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. In the entertainment world, we deep dive into the Netflix password sharing debacle, and Jared Leto's Morbius is up for some special awards. Happy weekend, everybody. Let's jump right into it. CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 3 is memorable for many reasons, among them having an expansive DLC add-on, Blood and Wine, being nearly a full game's worth of content on its own. Of course, that much content doesn't come cheap, and it looks like CDPR is trying to one-up themselves with the Cyberpunk 2077 expansion, Phantom Liberty. Via Polish outlet Parkiet, CDPR confirmed it will have the, quote, biggest budget ever allocated to one of its DLCs. While no actual dollar figure was released, we can imagine how expensive it must have been to not only retain Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand, but also adding Idris Elba to the cast as Solomon Reed. The Witcher 3's Blood and Wine added roughly 15 to 20 hours of main story content, and nearly double that if you wanted to 100% the whole thing. So it's pretty safe to assume Phantom Liberty is looking to add an equivalent amount of content. Unfortunately, we don't have much to go on outside of a teaser trailer released last year, but community director Marcin Morton said, quote, CDPR will be talking more about the game scope related details in the future. Have you explored all of Night City so far, and are you ready for more Cyberpunk? Let us know in the comments. How scary is too scary? That's a question the Dead Space Remake's technical director is probably asking himself when he plays the game at night with his headphones on. Speaking to Play Magazine, technical director David Robillard said he struggles sometimes when playing the game because of its immersive experience. It's just too terrifying for him. He said, quote, when I'm playing it at night, I can't play it with headphones. It's just too f***ing scary. Just the amount of realism and, again, atmosphere. Not just visually, right? In the way we handle sound, ambiance, effects, having systems that will try to spook you. The devs are really going the extra mile to scare the out of you, going so far as to show die-hard Dead Space fan builds of the game every 6 weeks early on in development. They wanted to make sure all the things the fans loved about the original game were present in the remake, including the scares. If you've played the original, don't assume the spooks will be in the same places. The team is finding ways to keep you on your toes in areas you think are safe or have already visited. Robillard said, quote, you're never safe. Someone wants your lunch money and they're not friendly. And finally, some sad news for fans of Marvel's Avengers game. I know you're out there. Maybe not a lot of you, but you're out there. Anyway, Thanos is apparently snapping the Infinity Gauntlet on this title later this year after, well, no one seems to be playing it. According to a blog post from the development team at Crystal Dynamics, support for the game will end on September 30th, 2023. Digital purchases will no longer be available after that date, but solo content will still be playable along with multiplayer. All cosmetic items will be made free and, sorry, no refunds if you already spent money on them. This makes the latest update 2.7 the final content update for the game. Marvel's Avengers has had a rough go since its launch in 2020, with players complaining about lack of content and some content, like Spider-Man, locked behind specific platforms, i.e. PlayStation. To those that have stuck with the game since the beginning, we salute you. Nintendo is ramping up Switch production ahead of the launch of The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Sources familiar with the matter told Bloomberg that Nintendo told suppliers and assembly partners that it plans to increase production in the financial year 2023 to 2024, which means from the beginning of April. Nintendo suffered from component shortages, and it admitted last August that these shortages hurt sales. But the component shortages finally seem to be letting up after 2 years, which lets it produce as many consoles as the market demands. And it seems like Nintendo is expecting quite a lot of sales with the Legend of Zelda sequel. It's interesting to see Nintendo up the production of a nearly 7-year-old console, which makes me think that we probably won't see a Switch Pro or a new Switch anytime soon. But hey, at least we're getting Tears of the Kingdom May 12th. And if it's anything like Breath of the Wild, which we gave a 10 out of 10, it's going to be another Zelda game that gamers can get lost in for hours and hours. After the rocky launch of Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy, the definitive edition back on November 11th in 2021, the PC version was removed because of the technical problems it was released with. But now the definitive edition is back on Steam and is actually now Steam Deck verified. Rockstar said the collection will be available later in the month on the Epic Games Store, but for now it's available on Steam for $29.99 with a 50% off promotion that lasts until February 2nd. This trilogy includes Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, all in their definitive editions. When the definitive edition of the trilogy was released in 2021, the 3 games in the collection had their individual listings on Steam removed. Since the removal of the collection, no one's been able to play these games on PC, but now they're back, so if you've been wanting that GTA replay of the trilogy, now's the time, especially with this sale. Drake, you know, that one famous rapper, dropped a new music video this week for his song Jumbotron Poppin', and in that video he's seen playing with a PSP. But this is a special PSP that was owned by Pharrell Williams and is a real gold-shelled PSP. The custom PSP 1000 was sold on Pharrell's auction site Jupiter for almost $20,000. Its case is made of 14-karat solid gold that weighs 659.7 grams and was specifically commissioned by Pharrell in 2008. Pharrell tweeted that he was selling his jewelry and other trinkets to set himself free for a new era, and I guess Drake decided to jump in on that PSP to own for himself. The PSP isn't actually powered on in the video, at least not that we could see, but if it can still play games and is functional, I don't blame Drake for grabbing that listing. It's the shiniest PSP you could get that's made with real gold. A little overkill for casual gaming, yes, but it's definitely a cool bragging right to own. Would you buy a gold Nintendo Switch if they released one? Or any real gold console of your choice? Let us know.
Season 2 of both Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2.0 have been delayed, while Activision makes several changes in response to player feedback. Call of Duty announced the 2-week delay in a tweet, explaining Season 2 will now launch on February 15th instead of February 1st. Season 2 will see the return of the fan-favorite Resurgence mode, and will also add a brand new small map for Warzone. Activision has made changes to the Gulag, looting, and loadouts. As for Modern Warfare 2, Activision is adding several multiplayer maps, new modes, weapons, and ranked play is returning. Call of Duty players can check out all this new stuff on February 15th. Moving on, Sony has officially confirmed the launch window lineup for PlayStation VR 2 through March. It includes 13 new games that hadn't previously been announced for the platform, including Tetris Effect Connected and Rez Infinite. PlayStation VR 2 will launch on February 22nd, and more than 30 games will be available on the platform before March comes to an end, barring any delays. Alongside heavy hitters like Horizon Call of the Mountain, Resident Evil Village, No Man's Sky, and Gran Turismo 7, PSVR 2 owners will also be able to look forward to these newly announced games, which include Before Your Eyes, Kayak VR Mirage, Pavlov VR, Puzzling Places, Song in the Smoke Rekindled, Synth Riders Remastered Edition, Thumper, NFL Pro Era, What the Bat, Creed Rise to Glory, and the last, Clockwinder. Still no Half-Life Alyx though, huh? For the full list of PSVR 2 launch games, hit up IGN.com. And finally today, on January 31st, a bizarre crossover from Square Enix Collective and Future Lab brings a free Tomb Raider Special Pack 2 Power Wash Simulator. The trailer shows off a few familiar places around Lara's family home, including an outdoors obstacle course reminiscent of her earliest PlayStation adventures. It looks like the inside has plenty to tidy as well. The footage teases a few cleanup jobs around the Croft Manor, where layers of grime and dirt cover everything from the walls to ancient artifacts. Yeah, I mean, Lara is busy gallivanting around the world raiding tombs. She's not at home dusting the blinds. Power washing isn't her most thrilling gig, but at least it looks satisfying. It's the only adventure Lara Croft has been on in a while. The studio behind Tomb Raider was recently acquired by Embracer Group, while Amazon Studios signed a deal to help publish Lara's next big game. Power Wash Simulator is available now on PC, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One. Along with the Tomb Raider Special Pack, it will launch on January 31st for PS4, PS5, and Nintendo Switch. Rockstar says it's preparing a title update for Grand Theft Auto Online in response to its exploit that is effectively locking some players out of the popular multiplayer game. First spotted late last week, the Remote Code Execution Exploit, or RCE, allows cheaters to corrupt accounts from afar. Players affected by the exploit will find themselves permanently trapped in Grand Theft Auto's loading screen. RCEs have been an ongoing concern in several multiplayer games, most notably Dark Souls, which saw its PvP servers shut down for months due to the issue. While a firewall rule can help, fans are currently being encouraged to take a break since RCE exploits can be quite dangerous, allowing hackers to do significant damage to a player's PC from afar. In a tweet yesterday, Rockstar said that it's aware of the exploit and that it's preparing a security-related title update. We'll continue following this story here at IGN. In the meantime, be safe out there, Los Santos. Moving on, ahead of the anticipated release of the Dead Space remake this Friday, the game's hero, Isaac Clarke, is now playable in Fortnite. If you purchase the Strange Transmissions quest pack in the item shop for $12, you'll get the Isaac Clarke outfit and Strange Transmissions quests to earn up to 1,500 V-Bucks. But wait, there's more. You'll also get the Rig Back Bling, which lets you monitor your health just like you do in Dead Space. The USG Ishimura Back Bling is a portable planet cracker, and you get the Plasma Cutter Pickaxe. Isaac is certainly not the first guest character from other games to show up in Fortnite, which has seen appearances from Kratos, Master Chief, Ryu and Chun-Li, and many more. And finally today, Infinity Ward is bringing back Call of Duty's Hardcore mode for Modern Warfare Season 2. As the name implies, Hardcore mode is for Call of Duty players who want greater realism, removing the HUD and making bullets far deadlier. It has been a Call of Duty staple since 2007's original Call of Duty 4, but was absent from the launch of last year's Modern Warfare 2. Hardcore mode is part of a long wish list for Modern Warfare 2 players, including red dots on the minimap and map voting. Fans have also been calling for additional maps to augment the 3 that are currently in the game. It's all part of larger Season 2 updates for both Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2.0, which were delayed roughly 2 weeks in response to player feedback. Both games will receive a host of updates, with Modern Warfare 2 set to get several new maps, new weapons, and ranked play. Modern Warfare 2 was released in October, with our multiplayer review calling it the most fun we've had in Call of Duty multiplayer in a good long while. It was followed by Call of Duty Warzone 2.0 in November, which we said was a positive update, thanks to additions like proximity chat and an updated ping system. Season 2 is expected on February 15th. Infinity Ward said it would release more info later this week. Xbox has finally given a release date to Redfall. The vampiric cooperative shooter from the developers of Dishonored is out May 2nd. Announced back in E3 2021, Redfall was originally supposed to be out last summer. Of course, it was delayed along with Starfield to the first half of 2023. However, I have a sneaking suspicion that Starfield will not make it out by the end of June. It's not going to be out before Redfall, so it would need to come out in either late May or June, which already has Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, and Street Fighter 6. My guess is that Starfield will be Xbox's big holiday release this year. But anyway, it's great to finally have a firm release date for Redfall. I really like Arcane's games, and I'm looking forward to hunting some vampires. Here's hoping I can finish the hunt in 10 days before The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is out on May 12th. Moving on, Tango Gameworks' next game is Hi-Fi Rush, a rhythm action game exclusive to the Xbox Series X and S, and it's out tonight. Hi-Fi Rush has a cartoonish art style and a rhythm-based combat system that has you tapping attack buttons in time with the soundtrack. While Hi-Fi Rush has its own original music, it also has licensed tracks for boss battles from artists like Nine Inch Nails, The Black Keys, and The Prodigy. A Japanese studio best known for The Evil Within, Tango Gameworks was part of Xbox's 2021 acquisition of ZeniMax. Its most recent release was Ghostwire Tokyo, which we praised for the way it brought Japanese culture and mythology to life. You can check out Hi-Fi Rush on Game Pass tonight. And finally today, the N64 classic GoldenEye 007 will finally arrive on Nintendo Switch Online's Expansion Pass and Xbox Game Pass this Friday, January 27th. Those looking to play the game on Switch will need both Nintendo Switch Online and its Expansion Pass that adds the N64 digital library, while Xbox users will be able to download it for no additional cost via Xbox Game Pass. The two versions of the game aren't identical, however, as only the Switch version will include online multiplayer, the first time this feature has been officially available for the 26-year-old game. The Xbox version will be a remastered edition that includes new control options, achievements, 16:9 resolution, and up to 4K Ultra HD resolution.
It's time to take a quick break. When we come back, we go over how Rick and Morty will continue without its co-creator, plus we explain Netflix's password sharing crackdown. See you in a bit. Welcome back. Rick and Morty is confirmed to continue following the controversial firing of its co-creator. But first, Netflix has been teasing their crackdown of password sharing for months now, and 0 Hour is finally here. Let's find out some more about what this means for consumers.
With Netflix's plans on cracking down on password sharing seemingly coming in March, here's what you need to know moving forward with your streaming service subscription. Now, first off, Netflix executives had their Q4 meeting where they discussed converting borrowers of Netflix accounts owned by separate households to paid subscribers by the end of Q1. And apparently, the company has figured out a feature that'll allow users the option to kick borrowers off the account, allow said borrowers to transfer their profiles to their own account, or pay extra fees for additional users. Now, the term borrowers is just another word that Netflix is using to refer to other users on a single Netflix subscription account. Now, this will no doubt be met with upset amongst Netflix users, as they'll have to make the uncomfortable decision to either get rid of extra profiles that might be used by a family member or friend, or pay additional fees to their subscription. And I'm sure nobody wants to pay more than what they're already paying. Now, this will likely cause some folks to cancel their subscriptions, which Netflix is apparently expecting some users will inevitably do over this subscription model. Now, Netflix thinks it'll level out on subscribers after some rage quit and cancel over this new subscription model, but eventually return when there's a show they want to watch. If Netflix is expecting some users to return simply based on a new show release, well, they're clearly not familiar with the pirate market and those willing to sail the 7 seas of the internet to find what they're looking for. Arg! You already know they will. Anyways, this new subscription model might potentially be good for Netflix, as the company is hoping to convert borrowers leeching off someone else's account into paid subscribers. But as for the consumers, it'll likely be frustrating figuring out what to do regarding your new account details. And we'll have to wait and see where we land with this one come March. In other news, we've got a release window for Invincible Season 2, and it's looking like we'll be getting it later this year. Now, as for the specific timing on when we'll get the next season, well, I'll let Mark tell you.
Oh, okay, fine. The world will get more Invincible in late 2023.
All right, okay, I'll take it. Late 2023.
So there you have it. Not as soon as we'd all like, but with the amount of work that goes into animation, it's expected. Definitely good news to know we'll be seeing more sometime later this year. And finally, Jared Leto's joining the legacy of esteemed actors who will traverse the virtual world of Tron in Disney's upcoming movie Tron Ares. Now, this will be the follow-up to 2010's Tron Legacy. Now, according to Deadline, the upcoming film is set to start production in August, taking place in Vancouver. As for director, Disney's in talks with Maleficent and Pirates of the Caribbean 5's Joaquin Roning. Now, the script for Tron Ares is still in the works, and it'll serve as a direct sequel to Legacy. All right, now things are seemingly worse for Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland, as Adult Swim has cut ties with the producer and voice actor days after the domestic abuse charges he's facing. Now, the animation studio tweeted this out, stating that its association with Roiland has ended, but Rick and Morty will continue to move forward with the team hard at work on season 7. Now, Rick and Morty's been renewed for 10 seasons. Now, with Justin Roiland providing the voices for the 2 main characters, it'll be interesting to see what direction the series will take regarding the voices of Rick and Morty. Like, will the series recast the voices with sound-alikes, or maybe take an entirely different approach? Now, if Adult Swim wanted to lean more into the multiverse Rick and Morty has established, there are ways to justify Rick and Morty potentially sounding different in episodes and seasons to come. Now, given some of the meta and fourth wall-breaking humor of the show, the writers might even subtly address the situation with a one-liner and then keep things moving from there. Now, it's definitely not outside of the realm of possibility with Rick and Morty, and it'd be in line with the show's established humor. Now, with so much of Justin Roiland's personal sense of humor and ad-libs infused into the performance of Rick and Morty, it likely won't be an easy task for the creative writing team without Roiland, but it's good to hear that the show won't come to a complete halt after severing ties with its co-creator. Now, as for whether or not the majority of fans will remain loyal to the show after this news remains to be seen. Now, to briefly recap, Justin Roiland was charged with domestic battery and false imprisonment back in May of 2020. He pleaded not guilty, and there have been pretrial hearings held with the case set to reconvene April 27th. Now, on the gaming side of things, Roiland apparently stepped down from his role at Squanch Games, the video game studio he founded. Now, the tweet stated that the Squanch team will continue to develop games and provide continued support and improve High on Life. Now, that's another project that has Roiland's voice featured quite prominently, but still interested in seeing what the game studio does next and how it'll move forward with development on future games. Curious to know what your thoughts might be on how Rick and Morty could handle the absence of the 2 main characters' original voices. Like, would you want them to go the easy route of simply finding voice doubles, or maybe doing something a bit more clever, like, I don't know, maybe having a AAA celebrity step in to voice the characters each season? Now, they could definitely justify the 2 sounding different, and I think a lot of eyes will be on how it's handled in season 7. Now, let us know your thoughts on this and the news down below. Now, in other news, famed director Steven Spielberg firmly believes that if the Dark Knight movie came out today, well, it'd have been nominated for Best Picture. Now, in an interview with Deadline, the director discussed Avatar 2 and Top Gun being in the Best Picture category for 2023's Academy Awards, followed by saying, quote, "I'm really encouraged by that. It came late for the film that should have been nominated a number of years ago, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. That movie would have definitely garnered a Best Picture nomination today, so having these two blockbusters solidly presented on the top 10 list is something we should all be celebrating." Now, we here at IGN gave it a perfect score, and with both Top Gun and Avatar: The Way of Water in that category for this year's Best Picture award, Spielberg isn't too far off with that particular assumption. Now, The Dark Knight garnered 8 noms back in 2009, but not for Best Picture. It was left out of that particular category. So it shows that times are truly changing. And finally, put on your techno trousers because Wallace and Gromit are coming back with another movie. Now, in celebration of the 30th anniversary of Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trousers, a new movie from the duo will be releasing on Netflix in 2024. The last time we saw the two was back in the 2008 short film A Matter of Loaf and Death. Now, in the new movie, Wallace invents a smart gnome that soon becomes sentient and begins devising a sinister plan that Gromit has to figure out how to stop. It's essentially going to be like the Megan movie, only with less dancing and not as many brutal killings. I don't think there's going to be any killings. It's for children, so it won't be any death at all. Probably not, yeah. Anyways, we'll see what it all is about come 2024. Shout out to Jared Leto and the team that brought us the Sony Marvel classic Morbius, as the movie has received 5 award nominations: Worst Director, Worst Picture, Worst Actor, and Worst Actress at this year's Razzie Awards. Now, for those unfamiliar, the Golden Raspberry Award celebrates the worst in cinema. Now, while the film was indeed a critical bomb at the box office and didn't move the needle amongst Marvel movie fans, it resonated on a different level in meme culture. Now, the movie went on to be ironically praised across the internet, with many memes about Morbin time trending across social media platforms. Hell, even Jared Leto got in on the action when he posted this video of him reading a script to the vampiric sequel.
What are you reading?
Nothing really, just, no.
What are you reading?
Oh, well.
Now, Jared Leto seems to be in on the joke, so, maybe he'll be in attendance at the actual award ceremony to accept his Worst Actor award. If he wins, of course. Now, the competition is steep in the Worst Actor category, with Machine Gun Kelly for Good Morning, Pete Davidson in Marmaduke, Sylvester Stallone in Samaritan, and Tom Hanks for Pinocchio. Like, that's some really, really tough competition there, and honestly, they all should win for their performances. Now, who do y'all got taking home the Razzie for Worst Actor? Who do you think is the best of the worst? Comment down below and let's discuss. In other news, Misty is returning to join Ash in his final days as the main protag in the Pokemon series. Now that Ash is a Pokemon champion, the water-type trainer decides to visit Ash and challenge him in a Poké Duel. Now, at the time of this video, there's about 11 more episodes in this anime's current run with Ash, and it'll shift focus to a new protagonist. Now, this was quite the reunion, as both Ash and Misty appeared in the very first episode of Pokemon back in 1997. Now, Brock is slated to return as well, rounding out the original Pokemon trio, sending Ash out in style.
Actually, I also have to go back home right away. I got an email saying I had to go back and take care of some errands and stuff, and I almost forgot.
How could you forget something like that?
I'm not sure exactly.
And finally, Mattel is racing towards a Hot Wheels movie with WB and Bad Robot. Now, writers Dalton Lieb and Nicholas Jacobson Larson will be writing the script for the film, which will be adapting the 54-year-old race car toy franchise. Now, very curious what the movie will be like and if Mattel is trying to build its very own MCU. Mattel Cinematic Universe. Now, we do have the Barbie movie set to release this summer, so, maybe we'll see an end credit scene with Ken doing a loop-de-loop, on one of those orange race tracks in his tiny whip. Who knows? I don't know. Really wish Mattel would just work on a Street Sharks movie. That'd be pretty damn sick and honestly more interesting than a Hot Wheels movie.
He sends a competition to a watery grave. Boom! Death.
Now, do you agree? Let's talk about it down below.
I'm Stella Chung, and that was your weekly fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news of the week. See you then.